Hello, strangers and scrufftards. Welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And sure enough, Russia grabs territory from NATO. Or at least they say they're thinking about it. So, what is this all about? Well, according to reports, Russia has decided that the maritime borders established in 1985 concerning the Baltic Sea and that have been re-established after that in various treaties, they are no longer valid. Russia will therefore claim that waters that are currently under Finnish, Estonian, and Lithuanian control belong to Russia. Yeah. And so what is Russia doing? Well, they are essentially challenging NATO territory, claiming NATO territory, but with a low risk of confrontation. Russia is trying to show its supporters around the world, especially online, that it can stand up to NATO and that NATO is unable to stop Russia from doing whatever Russia wants. So here we have the Gulf of Finland, Finska viken in Swedish, and what Russia wants to do is basically push back the Finnish borders up here, and I believe the Estonian borders down here as well, around the inlet towards Narva. And I mean, this is not something that will trigger Article 5. It will not be a huge conflict or war. It's just going to be tension, right? Russia says, well, we own an additional body of water over here, and the Finns are going to go, what the hell? Is this really something we want to start a shootout over? Well, the Finns may be send ships to patrol the area and stuff like that, and it will increase tension for sure. But will they start shooting at each other over this? You know, both sides will end up in a peculiar situation, and that is what Russia's after. Obviously, they want to challenge NATO, but will either side really truly open fire at each other because of this here? And same thing down here. Will Estonia or NATO allies open fire on Russian warships patrolling territory that today belongs to Estonia? It allows Russia to project power in a relative safe way because NATO will very carefully consider their options. Is it really worth shooting at Russian ships that are essentially invading another country's territorial waters? You know, it's a tricky situation, and that is why Russia is doing this. And the same thing goes for down here around Kaliningrad, where we have Lithuania, and Russia has been making claims that they actually belong more territory, that more territory belongs to Russia up around here, north of Kaliningrad, out at sea, challenging Lithuanian territorial waters. And the same thing applies. Is it worth starting a shootout out here over empty water, right? If Russia begins to patrol territory that used to belong to Lithuania. It's a very tricky situation, and it allows Russia to appear powerful, and it could potentially make NATO look weak in the eyes of Russian supporters. So here we have Kaliningrad belonging to Russia, Lithuania, and here is the border going through that small stretch of land. And yeah, Russia wants to push it slightly north to cause trouble for NATO to make Russia look more powerful, more dynamic. And same thing goes up here. You can see here the international borders, and Russia just wants to push it out a bit, ever so slightly, to annoy NATO, to make Finland and Estonia look weak because they won't deny Russia to do this. Russia will be able to push their borders without conflict and essentially push NATO back. Not much. They won't push NATO back much. And it's going to be at sea, but still. I mean, if they pull it off and NATO doesn't do anything, it is a massive propaganda victory, as you can imagine, for Russia. And zooming in a bit on the Gulf of Finland, the border between Finland and Russia and Estonia. And it's, you can see here these points, these are the points that Russia wants to move between Finland and Russia, between Russia and Estonia, and the same down at Lithuania. So they just want to push these points back ever so slightly. And you can see the big main island here, and two smaller islands here, and those two small islands there. That's that group here. So Russia just wants to push it back a bit, ever so slightly. I'm not clear how far back they want to go, but still, it is a clear violation of other nations' territory. And Russia intends to grab it and say, this now belongs to us. And since it's out at sea, you know, it becomes a situation where these countries, NATO countries, will, you know, question, do we really send in military force, air power, and navy to hold our borders and deny Russia to lay claim to waters that rightfully belongs to us? It's a tricky situation. Is it worth starting a war over small bits of water, right? And NATO may not push back. These countries may not push back. Tensions will rise because we will have warships patrolling right next to each other. I'm pretty sure of that. And Russia stands to land a pretty big propaganda victory if NATO does not defend these borders. Things are heating up around the world. Let's put it that way. Maybe Russia won't do anything. Maybe they will just talk about it to, you know, shake things up a bit. Maybe they will never go through with it. Maybe they will just talk about it in their parliament and then nothing comes of it. But still, it's floating around, and maybe that's the point as well. You know, make things a bit shaky around the world in the Baltic region, and force NATO countries to, you know, maybe we should keep all our weapons at home instead of sending it down to Ukraine. We need to defend our own borders instead of helping Ukraine. Stuff like that. That could also be part of the plan here from Russia. To make the Baltic states keep their military hardware at home, convince Finland to keep their boats and aircraft and tanks and what have you, missiles at home, and not make deliveries to Ukraine. Who knows? But the fact that Russia is claiming that territory that belongs to Finland, Estonia and Lithuania, it's quite remarkable and very dangerous, to be sure. So yeah, interesting times, let's put it that way. Who knows where this will end? But Russia is up to a lot of shenanigans, and we'll see what the response will be from Finland and the Baltic states. This has the potential to escalate into something very dangerous. If nothing happens, Russia may look very strong in front of NATO, or Russia just, you know, won't do anything. They will just talk about it, like I said, in Parliament, and then nothing comes of it. We'll see what happens, but yeah, things are heating up. Let's put it that way.